Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from ignorance to illumination. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Gnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamritaduhe Namaha. Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. 6th August, in our last class, discussed first of all about values. In illustration of this, we also have quoted from the last chapter of the first section of Taittiriya Upanishad, wherein comes four important points. The first point that he says, Satyam Vada, speak truth. So what happens when truth is spoken? Truth speaking slowly leads one to truth seeking. Truth speaking leads one to truth seeking. Invariably that happens. So speak truth and observe or lead a righteous life, which is called Dharmam Chara. The next point is Swadhyayan Ma Pramadaha. Never deviate from study of scriptures. That's why every devotee of Sri Ramakrishna must study the gospel and some of the Swamiji's works, etc. regularly. Why? We discussed. What are the important points? First of all, they give us inspiration. And we need inspiration every single day. Second, they also give us guidance. In various situations, guidance. You must have noticed, when you are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, suddenly some point strikes you and say, oh, this is what Sri Ramakrishna means. And how to apply, some example comes, to our own life situation. So these are the two definite benefits. That's why in the Vedic times, never neglect study of scriptures. That is called Swadhyaya. Secondary meaning of Swadhyaya, Swa Adhyaya. You constantly study your own mind, because many of us completely ignorant what is happening in our minds. We are having better knowledge about others rather than about our own selves. Yeah. We think we are very wise and other people are very ignorant. This is the meaning of Swadhyaya. This also corresponds to the Niyama of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Shaucha, Santosha, Tapaha, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhanani. And Swadhyaya, study of the scriptures, study of our own mind, ultimately leads to one inevitable result. You know what is that result? Surrendering ultimately to God, which is called Ishvara Pranidhana. It invariably leads. Why does it lead? For the simple reason, our ideal seems to be so high, and the more we study ourselves, we come to the conclusion, I have hardly moved from where I am. 50 years. Where are you? One man, he had shut his house and went to foreign countries, returned after 75 years, and he opened his door and shouting, "Foot rug, where are you?" And the foot rug was replying, "Exactly where you left me 75 years back." What does that mean? See, do you see, can we put our hand on our heart and say, I made a lot of progress in my life? Not only spiritual life, any type of life. That brings us despair. And the only remedy for this despair is only one. Oh Lord, I can never reach you unless you stretch your hand and pull me towards you. What is that act called?
Grace.
Sharanagati. That is called Sharanagati. For complete self-surrender to come from the bottom of our heart, we have to really understand our desperate situation. Then, the next point we have said, what is spiritual life? Spiritual life is to see God in everything. To see God in everything. And how to see God in everything? You can't suddenly start seeing. From this time onwards, I will start seeing God in everybody. That is not going to happen. So we have to start somewhere. What is the first point of our journey? Mother. Look upon your mother as God. Look upon your father as God. Look upon your teacher as God. Look upon then, Atidhi means, everybody else. This is how we have to progress from a lower step to a higher step. Okay, the next point, he says, you may not be getting guidance from me all the time. So what to do? The teacher is giving the advice that I may be dead, so I will not be available for consultation. Or you may be in such a far away place, it may not be possible for you to come and ask me. Therefore, look where you are staying, look around, find out the best type of persons. Two qualifications. Dharma kama asyuhu. First, those who are leading the best spiritual life in society, find them out. And second, aluksha. Aluksha means absolutely unmotivated by any lower impulse. They are not slaves to money. In Sri Ramakrishna's words, only two. What are those lower impulses? Kama and Kanchana. Those who are not tempted either by money or by sensual pleasures. Find out those two people, even if there is one, and imitate him in two respects. The first respect is find out how they are leading a life and you follow their footsteps. The second is there will come in life certain situations we do not know how to react. For a simple example, some wicked person is there, wicked person, and how to deal with that wicked person, especially if he is our close relative. Our problem is if he is not a relative, if he is our enemy, we know what to do. But if he is our close relative and he is misbehaving like that, then what to do? Here is the guideline. Find out that person who is aloksha and dharma kama. He is not motivated by lower motives and who is leading a rightful life, and whatever way they react towards that person, you also react towards that person. I will give you an example. Sri Ramakrishna's father was an embodiment of truthfulness. We know that. He was prepared to give up everything but not to speak untruth. As a result, we also discussed very important point. If we need to cultivate any virtuous quality, no virtuous quality comes in isolation. It always comes with its own relatives. You understand? So, Ushti. So, if you want to be truthful, you have to be without worry, you have to be with courage, and you have to be totally dependent upon God. And that's what happened to Kshajiram. He was not worrying. That's a point we have to understand. If some such thing happens to us, we become worried day and night. Oh, I have lost so much of this thing. What shall I do? No question at all. On the spot decision, I will not deviate from truth. God is there. He will look after me. So this was the reaction. And now the example. Sri Ramakrishna knew that one of his close relatives had borrowed money from somebody and refused to pay. And that man was threatening. He took him to court and said that if you don't pay back my money, then I will take Sri Ramakrishna as my witness. Sri Ramakrishna called his relative and said, you better settle it out of court. Otherwise, if I am called to go to the court, I will tell the truth what happened. And that fellow had no option. So how did Sri Ramakrishna get? Apart from his being incarnation, that is a different issue. Who was his example?
His father.
His father. So you see, if we are fortunate to get somebody as such examples, they will be our greatest guides. So this is what the Taittiriya Upanishad's convocation address, this is the essence. That means a complete scheme, outline for the whole life, how you are going to do it. So these few points, if you can remember, and you apply it, you don't need any more points. What is it? Speak truth, practice righteousness, live righteousness, and study the scriptures, and start revering mother, father, teacher, and everybody else, and find out somebody who is an inspiration for you. In modern terminology, who is the inspiration for us? As we are now, who is the inspiration? You can say in a way, the monks and the nuns. Guru. If a guru is there, but often the guru also doesn't serve that purpose. You know why? In the Ramakrishna mission, at least it doesn't work. It doesn't work because how many disciples have the privilege of actually living day to day with their gurus? Where do you get? Initiation is the only time, most of the time, that the people see their guru for a few minutes. Rest of the time, what happens, do you know? That maybe Guru Purnima, some festival day, you go and you make pranams and then you come out. You don't have opportunity even to speak for 1 minute to 2 minutes, and you cannot blame him. So find out a person, either a monk or a nun, if it is there nearby, and examine them, which sadhu can give me that guidance. And this is called Siksha Guru. Incidentally, someone asked me, what is the difference between guru and a teacher? We have to be very clear about it. In common parlance, we use these two words synonymously. Guru is teacher, teacher is a guru. But in specifically, guru means one who gives initiation and takes the responsibility of the disciple. He is called a guru in our Ramakrishna mission parlance. Teacher is called Siksha Guru. That's why Diksha Guru and Siksha Guru. Diksha Guru may not be available, excepting for after giving Diksha is gone. Siksha Guru is one who you choose, and whatever problems you go there, but you have to take my advice with a big pinch of salt, because Swami, I have got headache, and then go on 2 hours telling that person and transfer that headache to the other person. That's not what is wanted. Any spiritual problems, yes, you have to tell. That is where the Bhagavatam story of Avadhuta and 24 hours, you can learn from anybody. But that doesn't mean that you will not have one special person and say, I will have trust in this person, and whatever advice he will give me, I will accept it. Now here a doubt may come. Supposing, what if I made a mistake? I thought this person was very nice, and ultimately he also turned out to be a fake. Such a thing is to disbelieve in God. Because if you are sincere, then even if that particular person may be not a correct person, but the advice that comes from that person's mouth will be the appropriate advice, because that what comes out from his mouth is not coming from that person. It is coming from God himself. If we are sincere, it will come. Yeah. So these are the important points we have discussed. Then what is the essence of values? We said 4 values according to Hindu system. You must always remember that. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. What is the real value? Only Moksha. All the other 3 are supposed to help us to lead to that. Anyway, these are play upon words. Moksha is ultimately the ultimate value. There is no doubt about it. Now, different Swamis take different views, but it is very true. There is a song in Bengali, I don't mind giving people liberation, but I mind very much, I am very cautious in giving devotion to people.
But without devotion, moksha is not possible.
Yes, it is possible. Yes. You go and die in Varanasi, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are an atheist, whether you are an insect, you will get mukti. I am not saying that.
No.
That's what the scripture is telling. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. That's what Holy Mother said. You should not argue against this, because these are things of which neither I know nor you know. Only the scripture is the pramana. Sri Ramakrishna is the ultimate pramana. So it is possible. So if somebody earnestly prays, oh Lord, I don't have that much devotion, but I request that you do, God may listen and then give him moksha. But bhakti is difficult because it requires tremendous transformation in our character so long as we are living. So it is absolutely true. Okay, this subject needs some other time, otherwise we can't. It is just to illustrate, if a person can take God's name even unconsciously, unmeaningly once and he attains God, how much more does a person who takes the name of God with sincerely, regularly, with devotion and faith, how much what he could not achieve. That is the point of the story, not simply saying anything. Okay. So finally what happens? Arjuna catalogues all the final results, disastrous results that are the consequences of war, and says, if I take part in that war, I will be responsible for all these consequences. At least I withdraw myself and I lay down my arms. So he just sat down and with that decision. So that was how the first chapter comes to an Visrujya Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha. He was absolutely overwhelmed with grief and he just sits down. Sits down means he had no strength even to sit up. This also illustrates when a person is overwhelmed with emotion, it can play havoc with him. In fact, it is the emotion which plays havoc with us, not really anything. Okay. So Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example. What is the difference between information that doesn't affect, information that affects? A man was sleeping and suddenly another man comes and says that, do you know so and so died? If that person who died, so and so died, is not related with this person, he says, oh, how bad it is, I am sorry to hear about this. But if he is one of his family members or beloved person, like that he just, this is the power of emotion. That is why it is not that we shouldn't have emotions, but too much of emotion is also bad, and too less emotion, that means dryness, that is also bad. So that is why Girish Chandra Ghosh, he advises Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar, sir, better you show a little bit of your emotions to your family so that they can understand you. So this is what we discussed in our last class. Then from today we are starting the second chapter. The name of the second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. Now Sankhya, the word Sankhya comes from the word Sankhya. Sankhya means number. So according to, there is a philosophy, Indian philosophy called Sankhya Yoga. And every modern philosophy has heavily borrowed from there. So Patanjali Yoga Sutras are totally dependent upon this Sankhya Yoga system only. Sankhya and Yoga are two schools of philosophy. So when we are using the word yoga, we are using it in two different meanings. When we say Sankhya Yoga, it is a path which leads us to God. When we are saying Sankhya Yoga, these are two separate schools of philosophy. So, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, Sankhya, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Sankhya and Yoga. These are called 6 schools of Indian philosophy. So, Vedanta is heavily mixed with the philosophy of Sankhya. According to this, there are 25 tattvas. 25. Number 25. 24 belong to Prakriti and 1 belongs to Atman, Purusha. 24 Prakriti and 1 Purusha. 24 plus 1 is how many? 25. So that is why that because of that number, it is called Sankhya Yoga. But the spiritual meaning of this title of the chapter is, you see, when we are doing Sankhya means counting. Numbers means you are counting. 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So what is this? Advaita means what? You know, we are followers of Advaita. Advaita means what? Non-duality. Non-duality, why don't call it monism? So don't go on moaning. Why we should not call it as monism? So monism means, mono means what? One. That's why if somebody is going on boring you, what do you call it? Monotonous. Yeah. So mono means one. Monism means there is only one reality. Advaita doesn't accept that. It simply says it is non-dualism. Because the moment you use the word one, many also, one, two, many. It's a Sanskrit grammar also, is a very complicated grammar. English grammar there are only two, singular and plural. But in Sanskrit, singular, dual and plural. And both feminine as well as masculine gender. That is why it is very difficult. Hindi, aap aate hain, aa rahi hain, aa rahe hain. What a difference is there. Anyway, we need not go into it. So the spiritual meaning of Sankhya Yoga means, what can you count? You cannot count this world. All those 24 numbers belong to, the whole world is divided into 24 worlds. The world itself is mithya, means false. Can you count something as valuable, that which is false? Okay, let me give an example to make this point clear. Supposing somebody has given you some 100 pound notes, 100 pound notes, or 50 pound 100 notes, 100 numbers. 150 pound note is genuine. 99 50 pound notes are fake. Now count how many pound notes you have. Only one. You can't count the other. Is it not? Supposing you have got 10,000 pounds in your bank. Last night you went to sleep and dreamt you had won £1 million lottery ticket. Next morning, what would be your wealth? Will you count 10,000 plus 1 million?
No, just 10,000.
Whatever is false cannot be counted. That is why here this word Sankhya means, it is if you know the nature of the Atman, there is nothing else to be counted. The only thing that merits counting is only one. And what is that one? Atman, Bhagavan, God, Paramatma, whatever name you call it, reality. So the whole chapter is about the nature of Paramatma. And it's a most wonderful chapter. And I also can tell you, any chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is enough to lead us to our goal. Yeah. You don't need to study all the 8. That doesn't mean you would not attend my class. The yoga of knowledge, Sankhya Yoga, that which is connected with Sankhya is Sankhya. In the investigation of the eternal, it is necessary to enumerate the number of all the ephemeral and impermanent elements, and so it is called Sankhya. To know the 24 or 6 phenomenal modifications. Just now we discussed 24. And 6 phenomenal modifications is a very famous thing which we have to understand. It's called Shad Vikara. Everything that is born, and in this world everything is born. The stars are born, the rivers are born, the mountains are born, the continents are born, and all living beings are born. Anything that is born is bound to die. So this between the birth and death, there are lots of other changes that take place. How many total? According to Vedanta, all the changes, modifications that take place in every object, living or non-living, are 6. That's why there are 6. Of course, you can even say 5. If you can say 4, you can say 2. Let me illustrate what it is. Anything that is born is going to die. So how many? 2. Okay, there is birth, there is growth, youth, old age, disease and death. How many? Birth, growth, then youth, old age, disease and death. How many? That is called 6. So Vedanta takes this view to make it more comprehensive. Okay, 6 changes. These are called 6 phenomenal changes, modifications, and reject them all as non-eternal and find out the only eternal witness, that is the essence of Sankhya Vidya, Sankhya. In this chapter, the nature of the Atman is fully described, as the impermanence of the body, composed of the 5 elements, is enunciated, as many aspects of supreme knowledge are also referred to. It is entitled Sankhya Yoga. So, what is the essence? It gives us the nature of Atman. It also describes the nature of the Anatman, non-Atman. Atman and non-Atman. So, how many entities are there?
2.
No. That is why I asked the question. Because you cannot count non-Atman. If you count, you are making it permanent. You see, supposing you are giving a dinner party and you invite so many people, say 10 people, and one person phones and tells you, I'm sorry, I'm not able to come. So how many are you expecting?
9.
So would you count that person? Even though you invited him, he is not going to come, and so you won't count him. So what is it that is going to go with us or to be with us? Only ourselves. The whole world will disappear. How many people will go to, simple question, very interesting question. How many people would you take with you to sleep? Do you see the point? Only you can sleep. Even if there are 1 million people in and around you, when you sleep alone. And when you wake up alone. When you are born, how many people have you brought with you? Only one. And when you go, who goes with you? Be careful. That is what we have to remember at that time. We think that all these people are going to come with us. They are not going to. They will say goodbye. Some will say goodbye from a long distance. And others will say goodbye at the crematorium. Yeah. Important points in this second chapter. Every time we do that. When we started the first chapter, I have given you which slokas refer. So if you don't bring any notes, of course you will not be able to read. First, Arjuna explains his mental distress and confusion and surrenders to Lord Krishna for guidance. This situation is described from 1 to 10. Verse 1 to verse 10. I have subdivided Sanjaya's description of Arjuna's condition, Sri Krishna's admonition, Arjuna's reply and surrender, Sanjaya's description of how Bhagavad Gita begins. Second, description of the Atman from verse 11 to verse 30. Third, the necessity to fight the battle according to the duty of every Kshatriya or warrior, verses 31 to 38. 4. The doctrine of Nishkama Karma, motiveless action, unselfish action, from verse 39 to 53. Fifth, Arjuna's question about the description of a man of realization, because that is the goal. And lastly, Sri Krishna's description of the man of steadfast wisdom, Sthita Prajna Lakshana, verses 55 to 72. So this chapter contains 72 verses. It is the second largest chapter in this Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita consists of how many chapters? 18. And which chapter contains the longest number of verses? 18th chapter. 76 verses are there. So I will just read out a little and also the translation. Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tatha Kripaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha. Sanjaya said to Arjuna, who was thus afflicted with sorrow and pity and whose eyes were blinded with tears, Krishna spoke these words. So Sanjaya is describing after Arjuna sat down, his weapons, he had only one weapon, bow and arrows, fell down from his hands involuntarily, and he also could not stand. He just rathopastha upavisha, just was forced to sit. Then Sanjaya was describing that seeing the condition of the Arjuna, then Sri Krishna is not teaching, he is addressing him. So Bhagavan Vacha, what is it telling? Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anajajustam asvargyam akirtikaram arjuna klaibyam asmagamah partha naitatvayupapadyate Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvottishta parantapa. Second chapter, verses 2 and 3, the Blessed Lord said, what did he say? In this moment of crisis, why this weakness and delusion? That wretched faint-heartedness which brings ill fame on you, which will close your way to greatness and heaven, and which is not approved by any great man. Shake off this cowardice. It doesn't befit you. Arise, O terror to your foes. Be a man and fight. What is the essence of this verse? Be a man. Maha amai manush koro. There is a beautiful song, I don't know whether you heard. Ma amai manush koro. Oh mother, make me a man. What a beautiful verse. Incidentally, Swami Vivekananda used to consider this second verse as the very essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Klaibyam asmagmah partha naitattvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvottishta parantapa. If anybody understands and clings to this one particular verse, it gives him the result of understanding the entire Bhagavad Gita. We will discuss why it is so. What is this klibatva? It's a very interesting word. It's a very pinching word. Kliba means eunuch. Eunuch means you are neither a man nor a woman. So Arjuna was supposed to be one of the greatest heroes, and he was a very handsome man. That's why Draupadi wholeheartedly wished, not only so many women fell for him. Wherever he goes, women were falling. head over heels. Yeah, and he married some of them. Okay, the point is, he was not only a handsome person, he was very intelligent, and he was also a great hero. He fought with Lord Shiva himself, and that is how he obtains Pashupatastra. Incidental. So, how, Arjuna, he went to do austerity to please Lord Shiva in order to obtain one great weapon, like your hydrogen bomb or whatever you call it. So he did a lot of tapasya, and one day what happened, that one wild boar was passing, and Arjuna could not hold himself. He was supposed to do tapasya. It was too much of a temptation for him. So he took up his bow and arrow and discharged. But there was a hunter, in fact he was Lord Shiva himself, in the guise of a hunter. He also was chasing this boar, and he also discharged. And both arrows, exactly at the same moment, pierced the boar, and it fell down dead. Now a quarrel ensued. Who killed it? Because whoever killed it, that boar belongs. What a boring thing. What a boring story. So when both started fighting, ultimately, Arjuna thought, this is just an illiterate tribal person. I can simply overcome him. But he is Lord Shiva himself. Okay. Then Arjuna realizes, no, all my weapons, everything is totally useless. In fact, he was not the only person. Suppose Arjuna and Ekalavya fight. Who is going to win? Undoubtedly, Ekalavya is going, what is called hands down, is going to win. Not only that, if there was a fight between Karna and Arjuna, who do you think would have won?
Karna.
No doubt about it. No doubt. Yeah, these are all side issues. The important issue was, then you see Arjuna realizes, and he falls, Lord, it must be Shiva himself who can fight like that. Then Shiva was very pleased, and then he grants him Pashupata. Pashupati's astra is called Pashupat Astra, one of the greatest astras. So what is the point here? The point is, Arjuna was a great hero, and relying upon him, Pandavas took the decision to fight. Important question. Supposing Arjuna refused to take part, would Pandavas dared to challenge Kauravas? They would not have been they would not have done that. In fact, he was the person who goaded, who incited Dharma Yudhishthira to fight. All of them. Yudhishthira didn't want it, but they goaded him. Now he comes here, and it is what is called a military offense, and the commander-in-chief is going to. Now what is the Krishna is telling? Why did this decision come to you? You have become a kliba, means you totally useless fellow, a abominable fellow by the whole society. And from the society point of view, from the worldly point of view, it is absolutely true. But from a spiritual point of view, what is klibatva? What is na ghar ka, na ghat ka? Neither you are a worldly person, nor you are a spiritual person. So, if we want to attain to any type of progress in any field of life, what should be the first criteria? We should be valorous. That is the meaning. It has nothing to do with man or woman. It has something to do with Paurusha. Now, Purusha and Paurusha, these are two separate words. Purusha means male. Paurusha means valor. So, any person who lacks valor, do you think he is going to make progress in any field of life? That is what he says. You have lost your valor. Not only physical valor, and all physical valor also comes from the mental valor. That means you have lost mental power. You have lost intellectual power. You have lost moral power. And subsequently you have lost spiritual powers. Every power you have completely, totally lost. Why was Krishna telling like this? He says that your decision to give up the war has nothing to do with all these reasonings you give. What has it got to do? Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam. Weakness of your heart means your intellectual power, your capacity to understand. And the result will be ruin, not only for you, but for others also. Okay, let us take it in practical way, otherwise Gita is useless. Supposing our governments do not fight ISIS, who is going to fight? We may die, I may die, people may die. Oh, I don't want to fight. If we don't fight ISIS, what do you think is going to happen? First of all, is it right? If the government says, oh, they threaten me, they want to kill me, if Prime Minister says, I want to resign, and let people do, wicked people do whatever they want to do, what will be the consequence? Not only he will go down in history as one of the worst human beings, he is letting the whole country down. One of the points we have to understand is, even though we elected the government, because the government is nothing but whom we elected, whatever the persons decide to do affects the entire country. This is a point which we have not evoked today. Say, many wars. Some leader takes a decision to go to either to declare war or to decline war. And that affects everybody. So it is not that, oh, I have not done anything, somebody else has done something. How much our fate depends upon what David Cameron decides or not. Now you think over. You decide. I have some problem, health problem, I go to the hospital and I phone my GP, says, I will see you only after 3 months. So what is the consequence? What would be my health? And this, that the doctor refuses to see me and doesn't want to see me before 3 months is because of what? No, government decision that they are passing secretly these commandments to all the hospitals and everything. You postpone everything, excepting cancer cases. Every case is postponed, including our Sri Bhushan. How many times they are postponing doing his operation, etc. Anyway, how many times before her operation they had to postpone. And all these crises because of what? One person's decision that how the country should be run, what should be his attitude, what should be his decision about health issues, etc. Now what is this point? What has it got to do with our Gita class? The Gita class, if one leader takes a wrong decision, how much it is going to affect everybody. Not only that, all this wrong decision taking is the result of only one thing. What is it? Irrationality, weakness of the heart, and the incapacity not to take responsibilities, etc. And that's what Arjuna is doing this. So supposing he takes the decision, I am not going to fight. What would be the consequences? Apart from the value, what is called devaluation of values, what would be the consequence? What would be the fate of the 5 brothers, first of all? What would be the fate of all the people who joined him? What would be the fate of all the citizens? What is going to happen? That is why he says, so you give up, this is in this crisis, why this weakness and delusion? It is called, he calls it delusion. What is delusion? Last week we have given, so dharme adharma buddhihi, adharme dharma buddhihi. To think what is wrong is right, and to think what is right as wrong, that is called delusion. And if we commit individually, let us never forget one important fact. None of us are living in isolation. Suppose there is a person is living in a deep forest, nobody had ever seen him for 50 years, and let him take whatever decision he wants to take, it affects only
him.
him. But we are staying here, it affects us individually, it affects us family-wise, and it affects us society-wise. Each one of us are interrelated in three different ways. We are individuals, we are family members, we are also members of the society. Whatever decision we make, it affects all the three. So the Lord admonishes him. He is not giving him. The Lord admonishes him that you are actually a fool. You are a deluded person. Deluded person is worse than a fool. Because if a fool takes a foolish decision, it only affects very little. But if a big leader, if he takes a wrong decision, then it will be disastrous consequences. I will give you an example from history. Second World War. There was one Japanese commander-in-chief. I forget his name again. So he wanted to declare war against America by bombing Pearl Harbor. So everybody, excepting one or two people, everybody opposed him. Everybody, including the Emperor of Japan. He said, it is not good. And one person, one commander-in-chief, specifically warned him, America is a sleeping giant. If you do anything like that, you are waking up that giant, and the moment it wakes up, it will swallow you up. But this fellow was what is called pig-headed, strong-headed, whatever, arrogant. He had influence. He says, no, I have thought it over. And what was the result of that? Bombing the Pearl Harbor. And what did bombing the Pearl? America never wanted to participate. It is your war. We are on this side of Atlantic. We have nothing to do with you. But the moment this Pearl Harbor was bombed, the fate of Japan, Germany, everything changed in one moment. It changed. Yes, America had incurred some loss. Some few thousand people died, and some ships and some other aeroplanes were destroyed. But the next day, Roosevelt, he declared war and said, we will not stop until we destroy both Japan and Germany. Now, you know the consequences. What happened? Who took the decision? The commander-in-chiefs, the generals. And who suffered?
Public.
Entire people. You know why America went and bombed? Even they gave warning. We are going to. But those fellows, they were thinking, America is only threatening, is bluffing, there is nothing to do. And how many people died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? This is the biggest number of people till today who died in one act of bombing, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Now that decision taken by one commander-in-chief at that ill-gotten moment had affected the entire nation. Japan had lost its culture, and now it has become American Coca-Cola culture in Japan. Even today it has not recovered. One man's decision. That is what the Lord is telling. So what was the Arjuna's reply? He is telling, Katham bhishmamaham sankhye dronancha madhusudana ishubhi pratiyochyami pujarhau arisudana guru nahatvahi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhaikshyam apiha loke hatvartha kamamstu gurun ihaiva bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradagdhan. Like that it goes on. I will just read out the translation. O Madhusudana, how could I fight against Bhishma and Drona with bow and arrows, Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of respect? Is it not better to resort to a life of begging than killing these great souled masters? How could I kill the teachers for the sake of wealth? Will I not be partaking of blood-stained enjoyments? I cannot see which is the better of the two courses, whether we conquer them or are conquered by them. Those very persons without whom one doesn't like to live, they themselves, the children of Dhritarashtra, are standing against us. I am on the horns of the dilemma, unnerved, unable to decide my duty. So I ask you, pray, tell me definitely, which is good for me. I am your disciple. I take refuge in you. Do instruct me. I do not find a way out of the sorrow which burns my mind to the depths and which, as it were, dries up the senses. This sorrow is inevitable even if I attain the status of an Indra and rulership over the three worlds with all its riches. In short, what happened? The Lord admonishes him that you have become a eunuch. That means you could not take the right decision and you are also imperiling the welfare of everybody else. By this time, Arjuna's strong arguments that for this reason I am right, everybody else is wrong, including you, it is melted. Just 5%. Oh Krishna, how can I fight against Bhishma and Drona? Feeble excuse. It is a dying man's feeble voice. He says, how can I kill them? And then here is important. I am on the horns of the dilemma. The fellow who said, I am not going to fight. Do whatever you like. Now what is he telling? Now I am doubting my own decision. I am the horns of a dilemma. And I don't know if we enter into war, whether they conquer us or we conquer them. The thing is, anything can happen. That is not the point. So he says here, I do not find a way out of the sorrow which burns my mind to the depths and which, as it were, dries up the senses. He realizes one thing. If I am right, I should have been a happy person. If I am an unhappy person, what does that mean? I am totally wrong. That he understood. So without that, Sharanagati will not come. In our case, what is the message? So long as you think you are a happy person, you cannot surrender yourself to God. Only when you are so unhappy, you don't see any way out, then the only way is to surrender yourself totally to God. That is what he says. The 7th verse, which is so important, he says, I ask you, pray, tell me definitely what is good for me. Previously, he was telling to Krishna, I am telling you, you listen. Now what is he telling? Pray, you tell me. That means he has become receptive for the advice of Bhagavan Krishna. I will tell you something very interesting. Then he says, that which is definitely good for me. 2 points. Tell me definitely. Because don't go on saying, you might do this, you might do the other thing also. No. Because I am totally confused. Tell me definitely this is what you need to do. Guide me step by step as you guide a child. The second thing is telling, I take refuge in you. I have become your disciple. Sishyaha, Teyaham, Sishyaha. I take refuge in you. Then do instruct me, command me. No question of suggestion, no question of, I wish you would do that. No wishy-washy business. I am your disciple. I am open for your instruction. You have no other way but to tell me. That means what? In Vedantic language, the spiritual aspirant has become what we call is sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha, endowed with the fourfold qualities which alone can make a person a true disciple. Who is a true disciple? One who is ready to accept and act upon it. Not merely accept. We are all achieved that first. We are ready to accept, not ready to accept. When we took initiation, the act is we are ready to accept, but we are not ready to act wholeheartedly. Okay, that's what important thing. Do instruct me. In fact, this word do instruct is a very mild translation. Shadhimam means command me. You have to command me because I am like a madcap. So I do not find any way out of this sorrow. I tried. I cannot find a way out of this sorrow. The only way I understood is if I take refuge in you and follow what you are going to tell me, then that is the only way to go out of this sorrow. So what does a guru do to the disciple? What is the most important service, who does service? Does the Shishya, does the disciple serve the master, or does the teacher serve the disciple? Who does who? Who serves whom?
Teacher serves teacher.
Why? Because you see, the disciple, what he can do, he can press the Guru's legs, or he can do a little physical service, but the Guru is doing the greatest service. What is the service? He gives him self-knowledge, liberation, and he liberates him forever from the bondage of the so-called eternal bondage, samsara. Not really eternal, but it appears to be a long time, for a long, long time. So, with this, the Arjuna's self-surrender is complete. Bhagavad Gita starts with the 11th shloka, which I will just read and translate and stop. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhagavad Gita starts. The Lord said, Ashocyan anvashocastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasumscha nanushochyanti pandita. The blessed Lord said, you speak words of rational wisdom and at the same time feel sorry for those about whom you should not worry. The Pandits never feels sorry either for the dead or for the living. So, with this is the first Upadesha. You are speaking like a scholar, wise man, and you are behaving like a other wise man. This is our problem. We all speak wisdom, but in our behavior, with this, we'll stop and spend a few minutes. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.